Jake Morrison rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. The numbers had not changed. 27 large objects were moving toward Earth from the outer edges of the solar system. They were big, much bigger than anything humans had ever built. Each one was at least 5 miles long and 2 miles wide. He had been working at Luna Base Alpha for 8 months now. The moon base was small, with only 12 people living there. Their job was to watch for dangerous asteroids and space debris that might hit Earth. They had powerful telescopes and sensors that could see far into space. But they had never seen anything like this before. Jake picked up his radio and spoke into it. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. "Control, this is Luna Base Alpha. We have unknown objects approaching from outside the solar system. One count 27 large vessels. They do not match any known Earth technology." The radio crackled with static for a moment. Then a woman's voice came through clearly. "Luna Base Alpha, this is Houston Control. Please repeat your last transmission." Jake looked at his screens again. The objects were getting closer. Their shape was strange, like long triangles with smaller triangles attached to the sides. They were moving fast, much faster than any human ship could travel. "Houston, I repeat. We have 27 unknown vessels approaching Earth. They are approximately 5 miles in length. Current speed is 0.2 light speed. Estimated arrival in Sol system is 6 hours." There was a long pause. Jake could hear people talking in the background at Houston Control. Finally, the woman's voice came back. "Luna Base Alpha, maintain observation. Do not attempt contact. We are alerting all defense stations." Jake turned to his partner, Danny Walsh. Danny was a young engineer from Texas who had joined the moon base team only 3 months ago. His face was pale as he stared at the sensor readings. "Jake, what do you think they are?" "I don't know, Danny, but they're not from around here." Jake switched to a different frequency on his radio. "This is Luna Base Alpha calling all Earth defense stations. We have multiple unknown contacts approaching from deep space. This is not a drill." On Earth, General Patricia Hayes was in her office at NORD when the alert came through. She had been in the military for 28 years. She had fought in 3 wars and commanded troops in dangerous places around the world. But nothing had prepared her for this message. She picked up the red phone on her desk. This phone connected directly to the President and other world leaders. "Mr. President, we have a situation. Unknown objects are approaching Earth from deep space. They appear to be artificial vessels of non-human origin." President Richard Stone was in a meeting with his economic advisors when the call came. He had been president for 2 years and had dealt with many crises, natural disasters, economic problems, and political conflicts, but this was different. This was first contact with alien life, and it did not seem friendly. "How long do we have?" the president asked. 6 hours until they reach the outer solar system, sir. Possibly 12 hours until they reach Earth orbit. The president stood up from his desk. "Call an emergency meeting of the Security Council. Alert all world leaders. And get me our best scientists. We need to know what we're dealing with." Dr. Lisa Carter was working late in her laboratory in Colorado when her phone rang. She was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied the possibility of alien life. She had spent 15 years researching what alien creatures might look like and how they might behave. Most people thought her work was just theory, but she had always believed that one day humans would meet aliens. "Dr. Carter, this is General Hayes. We need you at NORAD immediately. We have a situation." Lisa looked at her watch. It was past midnight. "General, what kind of situation?" "The kind you've been preparing for your whole career. We have visitors." Lisa felt her heart start beating faster. "Are you saying we have made contact with alien life?" "I'm saying they're coming here. And they don't seem interested in talking first." While Lisa drove through the night toward NORAD, the alien fleet continued its approach toward Earth. The ships were beautiful in their own way, with smooth curves and a dark blue color that seemed to absorb light. But their beauty was deceptive. These were warships, built for conquest and destruction. Admiral Crickstall stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Void Render. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. His species, the Zephyrians, had conquered 17 star systems in the past century. They were proud of their military might and their advanced technology. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "we are detecting primitive radio signals from the third planet. The inhabitants appear to be using basic electromagnetic communications." Crystal made a sound that was similar to human laughter, but colder. "Primitive indeed. Have they made any attempts to contact us?" "No, sir. They appear to be purely defensive. Their technology level is approximately 3 centuries behind our own." The Admiral looked at the image of Earth on his main screen. It was a blue and green world covered with oceans and continents. It looked peaceful and defenseless. "Excellent. This system will serve our purposes perfectly." The Zephyrian plan was simple but cruel. They had developed new plasma weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single shot. But the weapons needed to be tested under real conditions. They had chosen Earth's solar system because it was isolated and contained no advanced civilizations. That might pose a threat. They planned to use Earth's moon as a target. The moon was large enough to test their weapons properly, and destroying it would demonstrate their power to the humans below. If the humans surrendered immediately, they would be allowed to live as slaves. If they resisted, they would be destroyed. Along with their planet back on the moon, Jake Morrison continued to watch the approaching fleet. He had called his wife on Earth to tell her he loved her. He had also sent messages to his parents and his sister. He did not know if he would ever see them again. "Danny, we need to start packing the important data," Jake said. "If these things are hostile, we might need to evacuate." Danny was checking the base's emergency systems. "Jake, our escape pods can only hold 6 people each. We have 12 people on the base, then we'll have to make 2 trips. Start preparing the first pod. Send the non-essential personnel back to Earth first." Dr. Carter arrived at NORAD just as the alien fleet entered the outer solar system. She was escorted to a secure briefing room where General Hayes and other military leaders were studying the sensor data. "Dr. Carter, thank you for coming, General." Hayes said, "We need your expertise. What can you tell us about these vessels?" Lisa studied the images on the screen. The ships were clearly artificial, with complex geometric patterns and what appeared to be weapon systems. "These are definitely military vessels, General. Look at the configuration. Those projections on the sides are almost certainly weapons. And the way they're arranged in formation suggests they're used to working together as a fleet. What about their intentions?" President Stone asked as he entered the room. Lisa looked at the president with serious eyes. "Mr. President, in my professional opinion, these beings are not here for peaceful contact. Everything about their approach suggests hostile intent. They're not sending any communication signals. They're not slowing down to enter orbit gradually, and they're maintaining a military formation. I believe they intend to attack." The president sat down heavily in a chair. "What are our options?" General Hayes activated a wall screen showing Earth's defense capabilities. "We have 3 orbital defense platforms, each armed with nuclear missiles and particle beam weapons. We also have 12 fighter squadrons stationed on the platforms. Our total space fleet consists of 6 patrol vessels and 2 command ships. Against 27 alien warships?" the president asked. "The odds are not in our favor, sir." Admiral Krickstall studied the tactical display as his fleet approached the inner solar system. His sensors had detected the human defense platforms and ships. The human military was tiny compared to his fleet, but he was impressed that such a primitive species had managed to build weapons in space. "Interesting," he said to his tactical officer. "These humans are more advanced than we initially thought. They have nuclear weapons and directed energy systems. Shall we destroy their defenses first, Admiral?" "No, we will ignore their pathetic fleet and proceed with our primary mission. Begin preparing the plasma bombardment systems. Target the third planet's moon. We will show these humans what real power looks like." As the alien fleet moved closer to Earth, Jake Morrison made a decision that would change everything. He activated the emergency beacon that would alert every human ship and station in the solar system, but he also did something else. He began recording everything the sensors detected about the alien ships. Their energy signatures, their weapon systems, their communication frequencies. He did not know it yet, but this information would become the key to humanity's survival. The aliens were about to learn that humans had one advantage they had not counted on. When humans were threatened, they did not just fight back. They learned, they adapted, and they found ways to turn their enemy's own strength against them. The first battle was about to begin, and Earth's moon would become the center of a conflict that would determine the fate of both species. The first energy beam hit the moon at exactly 8 in the morning, Earth time. Jake Morrison felt the ground shake beneath his feet as the alien weapon struck the lunar surface 3 miles away from Luna Base Alpha. The impact created a crater, half a mile wide and glowed with strange blue fire. "Holy God," Danny Walsh whispered as he watched the destruction through the observation window. "They're really doing it. They're using our moon for target practice." Jake grabbed his radio. "Houston Control, this is Luna Base Alpha. The aliens have begun bombardment. Direct hit on Sector 7. Crater formation approximately 800 meters in diameter." The radio crackled with static. The alien weapons were interfering with communications. Finally, a voice came through. "Luna Base Alpha, this is Houston. We copy your transmission. What is your current status?" "We're still operational, but not for long. They're systematically destroying the lunar surface. It looks like they're testing different power levels." Another beam struck the moon, this one closer to the base. The impact threw rocks and dust high into the black sky. Some of the debris crashed down on the base's solar panels, damaging the power systems. "Danny, start the evacuation procedure," Jake ordered. "Get the first group into Escape Pod 1. Send the technicians and scientists back to Earth first." Danny ran to the communications room to alert the other base personnel. Jake stayed at his position, watching the alien fleet through his instruments. The enemy ships had formed a circle around the moon, taking turns to fire their weapons. Each shot was different, testing various intensities and beam configurations. On Earth, General Patricia Hayes watched the destruction from the command center. At NORAD, satellite cameras showed the alien bombardment in real time. Each impact created massive explosions that could be seen from Earth with telescopes. "General," her aide reported, "we're receiving evacuation requests from all lunar installations. Luna Base Alpha, Mining Station Beta, and Research Facility. Gamma are all under attack. Approved. Get everyone off the moon immediately. How long until our defense platforms can engage?" Defender Station 1 is moving into position now. Captain Phillips reports he'll be in firing range in 20 minutes. Captain Ryan Phillips commanded Defender Station 1, Earth's most advanced orbital defense platform. He was a former fighter pilot who had volunteered for space duty 3 years ago. His platform carried 12 nuclear missiles and 4 particle beam cannons. He had trained for this moment, but he had never expected to face an alien invasion. "All stations, this is Defender 1, Ryan broadcast to the other defense platforms. "We're moving to intercept the enemy fleet. Defender 2 and 3, maintain formation. We go in together." On his bridge, Ryan studied the tactical display. The alien ships were huge, at least 10 times larger than his platform. Their weapons were more powerful than anything humans had built. But Ryan had been trained to fight against impossible odds. "Weapons officer, prepare nuclear missiles. Target the closest alien vessel. We'll show them what human courage looks like." Dr. Lisa Carter was still at NORAD, analyzing the alien weapons from the sensor data. She had been awake for 18 hours straight, drinking coffee and studying the energy signatures of the alien bombardment. "General Hayes," she called out, "I'm detecting something unusual about their weapons. The energy pattern suggests they're drawing power from an external source." General Hayes walked over to Lisa's workstation. "What kind of external source? I'm not sure yet. The quantum signatures are unlike anything I've seen, but the power isn't coming from their ships directly. It's being transmitted to them from somewhere else. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison was helping load the first group of evacuees into Escape Pod 1. 6 people climbed into the small spacecraft, including Dr. Sarah Martinez, the base's chief scientist, and 3 technicians. Get back to Earth safely, Jake told them. Tell them what you've seen here. The aliens aren't just attacking. They're testing weapons for something bigger. The escape pod launched just as another alien beam struck the moon. This impact was much closer, only 2 miles from the base. The explosion threw debris against the base's main building, cracking the protective dome that kept the air inside. Jake, we have a hull breach in Section C, Danny reported. The atmospheric systems are failing. We need to get everyone out now. Jake looked at his instruments one more time. The alien fleet was repositioning for another bombardment pattern. They were being methodical, testing their weapons on different types of lunar terrain. Rocky areas, smooth plains, and now they were aiming for the human installations. All personnel to Escape Pod 2, Jake announced over the base intercom. This is not a drill. We are abandoning the base. As the remaining crew members rushed to the escape pod, Jake stayed behind to download the sensor data. His computers had recorded everything about the alien weapons, their energy frequencies, their targeting patterns, their power signatures. This information might be the key to fighting back. Captain Ryan Phillips watched the lunar bombardment through his telescope as Defender Station 1 approached the alien fleet. The enemy ships were beautiful in a terrifying way, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to absorb light. But they were also clearly built for war. Weapons range. In 30 seconds, his tactical officer reported. All missiles armed and ready. Fire when ready, Ryan ordered. Let's get their attention. The first nuclear missile streaked toward the nearest alien ship. It was a direct hit, exploding against the vessel's hull in a brilliant flash of light. But when the explosion cleared, the alien ship was undamaged. Its hull showed no signs of impact damage. Impossible, Ryan's weapons officer said. That was a direct hit with a 50-megaton warhead. Fire again, all missiles, full spread pattern. 12 nuclear missiles launched from Defender Station 1, followed by similar volleys from the other 2 defense platforms. 36 nuclear warheads struck the alien fleet simultaneously. The explosions lit up space like miniature suns. Admiral Crichton watched the human attack from his flagship's bridge. The primitive nuclear weapons were impressive for such a young species, but they were harmless against Zephyrian shield technology. Amusing, he said to his tactical officer. The humans have more spirit than I expected. But their weapons are useless against our defenses. Shall we destroy their platforms, Admiral? Yes, but make it quick. We have more important work to do. The alien response was swift and devastating. 3 energy beams lanced out from the enemy fleet, each one targeting a different human defense platform. The beams were bright purple and moved at the speed of light. Defender Station 3 was hit first. The beam sliced through the platform's armor like it was paper. The station exploded in a ball of fire, killing all 47 crew members instantly. Captain. Ryan Phillips watched his fellow defenders die and felt rage build in his chest. These aliens had come to his solar system, attacked his moon, and now they were killing his people. He would not let them continue without paying a price. All power to engines, he ordered. We're going to ram their flagship. Sir, that's suicide, his navigation officer protested. Maybe, but we're going to take some of them with us. Defender Station 1 accelerated toward the alien flagship, its engines glowing white-hot. Ryan's crew knew they were going to die, but they remained at their posts. They would show these aliens what human determination looked like. The alien ships fired again, destroying Defender Station 2, but Ryan's platform was moving too fast for them to target accurately. Defender Station 1 crashed into the side of the alien flagship at tremendous speed. The explosion was visible from Earth. It tore a hole in the alien ship's hull and destroyed several of its weapon systems. For the first time since the battle began, the aliens had been hurt, but the victory was costly. Earth's entire space defense fleet was now gone. The orbital platforms were destroyed, and the patrol ships were too small to fight the alien fleet. Earth was defenseless. On the moon, Jake Morrison sealed the escape pod door behind him. He was the last person to leave Luna Base Alpha. As the pod launched toward Earth, he looked back at the base where he had lived for 8 months. Another alien beam struck the building, vaporizing it completely. "This is Jake Morrison to Houston. Control," he transmitted as the escape pod flew toward Earth. "Luna Base Alpha is destroyed. I repeat, the base is gone. All personnel evacuated. The aliens are using our moon as a weapons testing ground." Dr. Carter was still analyzing the alien technology when she made a breakthrough. The quantum energy signatures she had been studying suddenly made sense. The aliens were not generating their weapon power locally. They were receiving it through some kind of quantum link. "General Hayes," she called out excitedly, "I think I know how their weapons work. They're using quantum entanglement to transmit power across space. The energy is coming from their home system." General Hayes looked at the data on Lisa's screen. "What does that mean for us?" "It means their weapons have a weakness. If we can disrupt the quantum link, we can cut off their power source." "How do we do that?" Lisa smiled for the first time since the crisis began. "We need to turn their own technology against them. And I think I know how." As the escape pods carrying the lunar survivors approached Earth, the alien fleet continued its bombardment of the moon. But now they had a new target. Jake Morrison's escape pod landed in the Pacific Ocean 12 hours after Luna Base Alpha was destroyed. A Navy rescue ship picked him up and brought him to the emergency command center that had been set up in an underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. When Jake arrived at the bunker, he was exhausted and covered in moon dust. But he carried with him the most important thing humanity had: complete sensor data from the alien bombardment. Every energy signature, every weapon frequency, every targeting pattern had been recorded. "Welcome back to Earth, Commander Morrison," General Hayes said as Jake entered the briefing room. "I'm sorry about your base and your crew." "Thank you, General. But we need to focus on what's important. I have data that might help us fight back." Jake handed over the data storage device. He had risked his life to save. Dr. Lisa Carter took the device and connected it to the main computer system. Data flowed across the screens: energy readings, quantum signatures, and weapon analysis from 18 hours of alien bombardment. "This is incredible," Lisa said as she studied the information. "Jake, you've given us exactly what we need to understand their technology." President Stone arrived at the bunker with leaders from around the world. The President of Russia, the Prime Minister of China, and representatives from every major nation were there. The alien threat had united humanity in a way that nothing else ever had. "What's our situation?" President Stone asked. General Hayes activated the main display screen. It showed the alien fleet positioned around Earth's moon. The moon itself was covered with craters from the continued bombardment. "The enemy has 24 ships remaining. We damaged 3 of them, but they're still operational. They'd been using our moon for target practice for the past day. What about our defenses?" the Chinese premier asked. "Gone," General Hayes replied sadly. "All 3 orbital platforms were destroyed. Our space-based defenses are completely eliminated." "So we're defenseless?" the Russian president asked. "Not entirely," Dr. Carter interjected. "We've discovered something important about their weapons. They're not self-powered. The energy comes from their home system through quantum entanglement." Jake Morrison stepped forward. "I watched them fire for hours. Their weapons never seem to run out of power, but there's a pattern to how they use them. They're testing different configurations, like they're preparing for something bigger." "What kind of something bigger?" President Stone asked. Lisa looked at the data on her screen. "Based on their testing patterns, I believe they're preparing to attack Earth directly. They're using our moon to calibrate their weapons for planetary bombardment." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The aliens were not just destroying the moon for fun. They were preparing to destroy Earth itself. "How long do we have?" President Stone asked. "Based on their current testing rate, I estimate they'll be ready to attack Earth within 48 hours, Lisa replied. General Hayes looked at the tactical display. We have some ground-based weapons that might reach them. Long-range missiles, particle beam installations, and our experimental railgun systems. Will they be effective? The president asked. Unknown, sir, but we have to try. Meanwhile, on the moon, something unexpected was happening. The alien bombardment had uncovered several underground installations that had been hidden beneath the lunar surface. These were old mining facilities that had been abandoned years ago, but their equipment was still functional. Bobby Chun was one of the few people who knew about these hidden facilities. He was a mining engineer who had helped design the lunar extraction systems. When he heard about the alien attack, he volunteered to return to the moon on a desperate mission. General Hayes, Bobby said over the communication link, I'm at the old mining site in Crater Valley. The aliens missed this facility completely. The equipment here is still working. What kind of equipment? General Hayes asked. Massive drilling systems, fusion reactors, and most importantly, quantum field generators. If Dr. Carter's theory is correct, we might be able to use this equipment to disrupt their power source. Lisa Carter's eyes lit up when she heard this. Bobby, can you access the quantum field generators? We need to know their exact specifications. I'm looking at them now. These are industrial-grade systems designed for deep space mining. They can generate massive amounts of quantum energy. That's perfect, Lisa said. If we can modify those generators, we might be able to create a quantum disruption field that will interfere with the alien weapons. Admiral Krickstall was becoming impatient with the testing process. His scientists had been bombarding the human moon for over a day, and they still had not perfected the weapon settings for planetary destruction. How much longer? He asked his weapons officer. The testing is almost complete, Admiral. We need to verify the penetration depth for geological layers similar to the third planet. Approximately 6 more hours. Proceed. But prepare the fleet for full bombardment. Once the testing is finished, we destroy the primitive world and move on to the next system. Krickstall looked at the tactical display showing the human planet. It was beautiful with blue oceans and white clouds. But beauty meant nothing to the Zephyrian Empire. They had destroyed many beautiful worlds in their conquest of the galaxy. Back on Earth, the world's governments were mobilizing every available resource. Military bases launched their most powerful missiles toward the alien fleet. The missiles were nuclear-tipped and carried the hopes of humanity, but the results were the same as before. The alien shields deflected every weapon that humans could throw at them. Nuclear explosions lit up the space around the moon, but the enemy ships remained undamaged. It's no use, General Hayes said as she watched the missile strike results. Their defensive systems are too advanced. We can't hurt them with conventional weapons. Then we need unconventional weapons, Dr. Carter said. Bobby, how long will it take to modify the quantum generators? If I work continuously, maybe 12 hours, but I'll need help. The modifications are complex, and I can't do them alone. We'll send a team, General Hayes decided. Who volunteers to go back to the moon? The room was quiet for a moment. Going back to the moon meant certain death if the aliens detected them. But several people stepped forward. Jake Morrison was the first. I'm going, Jake said. I know the lunar systems better than anyone, and I have a score to settle with these aliens. Danny Walsh, who had escaped from Luna Base Alpha with Jake, also volunteered. I'm going too. Bobby will need an engineer who knows the power systems. 3 other specialists also volunteered: Dr. Maria Santos, a quantum physicist, Captain Tom Bradley, a military explosives expert, and Elena Petrov, a computer systems specialist. General Hayes looked at the volunteers. You understand this is a suicide mission. If the aliens detect you, you'll be killed instantly. We understand, Jake replied. But if we don't try, everyone on Earth dies anyway. The team prepared for launch in an old cargo ship that had been modified for stealth. The ship's hull was coated with materials that absorbed radar and energy signatures. It was not perfect, but it was humanity's best hope for getting back to the moon undetected. as the stealth ship prepared to launch. Dr. Carter made another breakthrough in her analysis of the alien technology. The quantum entanglement system had a weakness. It required precise frequency matching to maintain the power link. If we can create enough quantum interference, we might be able to break their connection to their home system, she explained to the team. What happens if we break the connection? Jake asked. Their weapons will lose power. Without their quantum link, they'll be helpless. And what happens to their home system? President Stone asked. Lisa paused before answering. If we reverse the quantum flow, we could send a massive energy pulse back through their own system. The damage would be catastrophic. You mean we could destroy their homeworld? Jake asked. Not just their homeworld. Their entire star system. The room fell silent again. The plan was not just about defending Earth, it was about total destruction of the enemy. Some people in the room looked uncomfortable with the idea of genocide, even against alien invaders. They started this war, General Hayes said firmly. They came here to destroy us. If we have the power to stop them permanently, we should use it. President Stone made the decision. Proceed with the mission? Do whatever is necessary to protect Earth? The stealth ship launched at midnight, carrying the 6 volunteers toward the moon. They flew in complete radio silence, using only passive sensors to navigate. The alien fleet was still bombarding the lunar surface, but they were focused on the far side of the moon from where Bobby's hidden facility was located. Admiral Crichton received a report from his sensors that made him curious. There was a brief energy signature from the third planet. It might have been the spacecraft launch. Shall we investigate, Admiral? No, the humans are probably evacuating their planet. Let them run. It will make no difference in the end. The stealth ship reached the moon and landed near the hidden mining facility. The 6 volunteers put on their spacesuits and entered the underground complex. The facility was old but functional, with fusion reactors providing power and quantum generators that could be modified for their desperate plan. Bobby Chun showed them the equipment they would need to modify. These generators can create quantum. Bobby Chun worked through the night in the underground facility, his hands moving carefully over the quantum generator controls. The machine was 20 feet tall and filled with complex crystals that glowed with blue light. Each crystal had to be adjusted perfectly or the entire system would explode. How much longer? Jake Morrison asked as he watched Bobby make delicate adjustments to the quantum field matrix. 6 more hours, maybe 7, Bobby replied without looking up from his work. These generators were never designed for this kind of modification. I'm basically rebuilding the entire quantum alignment system. Above them, the alien bombardment continued. The facility shook every few minutes as energy beams struck the lunar surface. Dust fell from the ceiling with each impact, but the underground complex remained hidden from the alien sensors. Danny Walsh was working on the power systems, rerouting energy from the facility's fusion reactors to boost the quantum generators. Bobby, I'm reading some unusual energy fluctuations in the main reactor. The power load is higher than the system was designed to handle. Keep it stable for just a few more hours, Bobby said. We only need the system to work once. Dr. Maria Santos was calibrating the quantum frequency detectors that would target the alien power link. She had been working for 8 hours straight, fine-tuning the equipment to match the energy signatures that Jake had recorded during the bombardment. I think I've isolated their quantum frequency, Maria announced. It's unlike anything in our scientific literature. The aliens are using a form of quantum entanglement that creates a stable power transmission across interstellar distances. Can we disrupt it? Jake asked. More than disrupt it. If we reverse the quantum flow, we can send a massive energy pulse back through their own link. It would be like turning their power source into a bomb. Captain Tom Bradley was preparing the explosive charges that would destroy the facility after they completed their mission. The plan was simple but dangerous. Create the quantum disruption, send the energy pulse back to the alien home system, then blow up the facility to prevent the aliens from discovering what humans had done. Charges are set, Tom reported. Remote detonation system is ready. We'll have exactly 10 minutes to get clear after we activate the quantum pulse. Elena Petrov was monitoring communications from Earth and tracking the alien fleet movements. Her computer screen showed the positions of all 24 alien ships as they continued their bombardment pattern around the moon. The aliens are moving into a new formation, Elena reported. It looks like they're preparing for the final phase of their weapons testing. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Carter was coordinating with the lunar team through encrypted communications. She had been awake for 36 hours, drinking coffee and analyzing the quantum data that the team was sending back. "Bobby, I'm seeing some concerning readings in your quantum field harmonics," Lisa transmitted. "The alien power link is stronger than we initially calculated. You'll need to increase the generator output by at least 40%. 40%? Bobby looked at his instruments. "Lisa, that will push the reactors beyond their safety limits. The whole facility could have a meltdown. It's a risk we have to take. If the quantum pulse isn't strong enough, it won't penetrate their defensive systems." General Hayes was in the command bunker, watching satellite feeds of the alien fleet. The enemy ships had been bombarding the moon for 2 days now, and the lunar surface was covered with thousands of craters. The moon itself was beginning to look like a piece of Swiss cheese. "General," her aide reported, "we're detecting increased energy activity from the alien fleet. They appear to be charging their weapons for a much larger bombardment." "How much larger?" "Our computers estimate they're preparing for a planetary bombardment. The energy levels suggest they could destroy entire continents with a single shot." General Hayes felt a cold chill run down her spine. The aliens were almost finished with their weapons testing. Soon they would turn their attention to Earth itself. Admiral Krickstall stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the final preparations for the attack on the human homeworld. His weapons had been tested and calibrated. His ships were positioned for maximum effectiveness. The primitive humans would be destroyed within hours. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "the weapons testing is complete. All systems are optimized for planetary bombardment. We can begin the attack on the third planet at your command." "Excellent," Krickstall replied. "Target their major population centers first. I want to see if these humans will surrender when they watch their cities burn. What about their space installations? Should we destroy their orbital facilities?" "Leave them intact for now. If any humans survive the planetary bombardment, they can serve as slaves for the Empire." Back in the underground facility, Bobby Chun made the final adjustments to the quantum generators. His hands were shaking from exhaustion and stress, but he forced himself to concentrate. One mistake could kill them all. "Quantum field alignment is complete," he announced. "All generators are synchronized and ready for activation." Jake Morrison checked his watch. They had been working for 14 hours straight. Above them, the alien bombardment had stopped. The sudden silence was more frightening than the constant shaking had been. "Elena, what's happening up there?" Jake asked. Elena's fingers flew over her keyboard as she accessed satellite feeds. "The alien fleet is moving. They're leaving lunar orbit and heading toward Earth." "How long until they reach Earth?" Danny asked. "At their current speed, approximately 4 hours. Maria Santos looked up from her quantum calculations. "We need to activate the system now. If the aliens get too far from the moon, our quantum pulse might not be strong enough to reach them." Bobby moved to the main control panel. The quantum generators were humming with power, their crystal matrices glowing brighter than ever before. "Everyone ready? Once I start this sequence, there's no going back." The team members took their positions. Jake stood at the communications station, ready to relay their success or failure to Earth. Danny monitored the power systems. Maria watched the quantum field readings. Tom prepared the explosive charges. Elena tracked the alien fleet. "Initiating quantum field generation," Bobby announced as he pressed the activation switch. The generators roared to life with a sound like thunder. The entire facility vibrated as massive amounts of quantum energy built up in the crystal matrices. Warning lights flashed on every control panel as the system pushed far beyond its design limits. Power levels at 120%, Danny reported. The reactors are holding, but barely. Quantum field coherence is stable, Maria added. I'm detecting the alien power link. The frequency match is perfect. Bobby watched the energy readings climb higher and higher. The quantum generators were creating a field powerful enough to interfere with the alien technology across interstellar distances. But they were also creating enough energy to destroy the entire moon if something went wrong. Field strength at maximum, Bobby announced, preparing to reverse quantum flow in 3.1. Now, he threw the final switch and the quantum generators screamed with power. The energy that had been flowing from the alien home system to their fleet suddenly reversed direction. Instead of receiving power, the alien ships were now connected to a massive energy drain that was pulling power back through their own quantum link. Admiral Crystal felt his ship shudder as the weapons system suddenly lost power. What's happening? He demanded. Unknown, Admiral, his tactical officer replied with panic in his voice. All weapons are offline. The quantum power link has been severed. Impossible. The quantum link is unbreakable. Sir, I'm detecting massive energy feedback through the link. Something is sending power back toward our home system. On the alien homeworld of Zephyr Prime, the quantum receiving station that powered their entire fleet suddenly began overloading. The energy pulse that Bobby's team had created was traveling back through the quantum link, carrying with it more power than the Zephyrian system could handle. The overload started small, but it grew rapidly as the quantum feedback loop accelerated. Within minutes, the energy release had reached critical levels. The quantum receiving station exploded, taking with it a large portion of the Zephyrian homeworld's moon. Admiral! The communications officer on Crystal's ship shouted, We've lost contact with Zephyr Prime. The quantum relay station has been destroyed. Crystal stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His mighty fleet was now powerless, drifting helplessly in space around the human moon. Without their quantum power link, their weapons were useless and their engines could barely maintain life support. In the underground facility, Bobby Chun watched the readings on his instruments with amazement. It worked! The quantum pulse reached. Their home system, their power link is completely severed. What about their fleet? Jake asked. Elena checked her satellite feeds. The alien ships have gone dark. No energy signatures, no movement. They're completely dead in space. We did it, Maria said with wonder in her voice. We actually stopped them. But their celebration was cut short as alarms began sounding throughout the facility. The quantum generators had been pushed far beyond their limits, and the massive energy release was causing a cascade failure in the reactor systems. The reactors are going critical. Jake Morrison's escape ship lifted off from the lunar surface just as the underground facility exploded behind them. The blast was so powerful that it created a new crater 3 miles wide and sent debris flying in all directions. But the team had escaped and their mission was complete. This is Jake Morrison to Earth Control, he transmitted as their ship headed toward home. Mission accomplished. The alien fleet is powerless. Repeat, the enemy has been neutralized. The radio crackled with cheers and celebrations from the command bunker on Earth. General Hayes' voice came through clearly. Outstanding work, team. You saved not just Earth, but possibly the entire human race. As the escape ship traveled through space, the 6 volunteers could see the alien fleet drifting helplessly around the moon. The massive warships that had seemed so threatening just hours ago were now nothing more than floating metal. Their weapons were silent, their engines were dead, and their crews were trapped inside ships that could no longer function. Admiral Crystal sat in his command chair, staring at the dark control panels around him. His mighty flagship, the Void Render, was now completely powerless. The bridge was lit only by emergency lighting that would last for a few more hours at most. Admiral, his communications officer said weakly, I'm receiving reports from all ships in the fleet. Complete power failure across the entire battle group. Life support systems are failing. We have perhaps 12 hours of breathable air remaining. Crickstall had never experienced defeat before. In his 60 years of military service, he had conquered 17 star systems and destroyed dozens of primitive civilizations. But these humans had done something impossible. They had turned the Empire's own technology against them. How? He whispered to himself. How did such a primitive species accomplish this? His science officer, working by the light of a handheld device, had been analyzing the quantum disruption. Admiral, the humans somehow reversed our quantum power link. They sent a massive energy pulse back through our own transmission system. What happened to Zephyr Prime? Unknown, sir. But based on the energy levels involved, the damage to our home system would have been catastrophic. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Carter was coordinating the analysis of the quantum pulse results. The energy readings suggested that the feedback had traveled across 23 light-years in an instant, carrying enough power to destroy a small moon. The quantum entanglement worked exactly as we predicted, she reported to President Stone and the other world leaders. The energy pulse reached the alien home system and severed their power source permanently. What's the status of their fleet? President Stone asked. 24 ships, all completely disabled? No weapons, no engines, no long-range communications. They're essentially prisoners in their own vessels. General Hayes looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet. The question now is, what do we do with them? We could destroy them easily, but they're helpless. Some of them might still be alive, Dr. Carter pointed out. This could be our first opportunity for peaceful contact with an alien species. President Stone considered the options carefully. The aliens had come to destroy Earth, but now they were completely at humanity's mercy. How humans responded to this situation would define what kind of species they were. Prepare a rescue mission, the president decided. Send ships to check for survivors, but maintain defensive positions. If they show any signs of hostility, destroy them immediately. Jake Morrison volunteered to lead the rescue mission. After landing safely on Earth and being debriefed, he insisted on returning to space to investigate the alien fleet. I want to look these invaders in the eye, he told General Hayes. I want them to know that humans aren't the primitive species they thought we were. The rescue mission launched 12 hours later. Jake commanded a team of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel aboard the research vessel Discovery. As they approached the alien flagship, they could see the massive ship drifting slowly in the darkness. No energy signatures, reported Dr. Santos, who had joined the rescue mission. The ship appears to be completely dead, but I'm detecting faint life signs inside. Jake opened a communication channel on multiple frequencies. This is Commander Jake Morrison of Earth. We know you can hear us. We are coming aboard your ship to provide assistance. There was no response from the alien vessel. Jake suited up in his space gear and led a boarding party through the airlock of the disabled flagship. The corridors inside were dark and cold. Emergency lighting flickered weakly, providing just enough illumination to see. The boarding party made their way to what appeared to be the bridge. There they found Admiral Crickstall and his remaining crew members. The aliens were tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. They looked fragile and defeated, nothing like the mighty conquerors they had seen just days ago. Admiral Crickstall looked up as the humans entered his bridge. He had expected to be killed immediately, but instead one of the humans removed his helmet and spoke in a calm voice. I am Commander Jake Morrison. Are you the leader of this fleet? Crickstall was surprised that the human spoke his language. The translation device in his suit was still functioning on backup power. I am Admiral Crickstall of the Zephyrian Empire. I demand to know how you defeated our fleet. Jake smiled grimly. You gave us the tools to defeat you. Your quantum power link became our weapon. You used our moon for target practice, so we used your own technology to destroy your moon. Impossible. No primitive species could understand quantum entanglement. That's where you made your mistake, Jake replied. You assumed we were primitive because our technology was different from yours, but intelligence isn't about technology. It's about adaptation and problem solving. Dr. Santos stepped forward with a medical scanner. Admiral, your crew is suffering from oxygen deprivation and hypothermia. We can provide medical assistance and move you to ships with functional life support. Crystal stared at the humans in confusion. You're offering to help us? After we tried to destroy your world? That's what civilized beings do, Jake answered. We help those in need, even our enemies. Over the next several days, human rescue teams evacuated all the surviving aliens from their disabled fleet. Out of the original crews totaling nearly 12,000 aliens, about 8,000 had survived the power failure. They were housed in temporary facilities on Earth's moon, now heavily cratered from their own bombardment. The alien survivors were a mixture of different species from across the Zephyrian Empire. Most were soldiers and technicians, but some were scientists and engineers. Many of them had never seen their homeworlds again, having spent decades conquering distant star. SYSTEMS Dr. Carter led the team responsible for communicating with the alien survivors. Through careful questioning, she learned about the Zephyrian Empire and their history of conquest. They've been expanding across the galaxy for over 2 centuries, she reported to the world leaders. They've conquered dozens of civilizations and enslaved entire species. Earth was just their next target. What about their home system? President Stone asked. According to the survivors, Zephyr Prime and its moon were the power source for their entire interstellar empire. When we destroyed their moon, we didn't just disable this fleet, we crippled their entire civilization. The implications were staggering. Humanity's desperate defensive action had not only saved Earth, but had also freed dozens of enslaved worlds across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire, which had terrorized star systems for centuries, was finished, Admiral Krickstahl requested. A meeting with the human leaders. He was brought to the command bunker under heavy guard, where he faced President Stone and the other world leaders. I have lived for over 200 Earth years, Krickstahl said. I have conquered 17 star systems and defeated countless species, but never have I encountered a civilization like yours. What do you mean? President Stone asked. Other species we conquered were either too primitive to resist or too advanced to care about their freedom. But humans, you fight with a combination of intelligence and determination that we have never seen. You turned our greatest strength into our greatest weakness. What happens now? General Hayes asked. Krickstahl looked around the room at the human leaders. The Empire is finished. Without the quantum power link, our remaining fleets are stranded in distant systems. The worlds we conquered will rebel and reclaim their freedom. The age of Zephyrian dominance is over. And what about you and your survivors? Dr. Carter asked. We are at your mercy. By the laws of our people, we are now your prisoners. President Stone exchanged glances with the other leaders. They had discussed this moment extensively. We're not interested in having prisoners or slaves. But we also can't simply let you return to conquering other worlds. We couldn't even if we wanted to, Krickstahl replied. Our ships are disabled. Our homeworld is destroyed and our empire has collapsed. We are refugees now, nothing more. President Stone made a decision that would shape the future of human-alien relations. We offer you a choice. You can remain on Earth as guests, contributing your knowledge to help us understand the galaxy. Or we can provide you with ships to find a new homeworld where you can build a peaceful civilization. Krickstahl was stunned. He had expected execution or imprisonment, not options for a new life.